Reba McEntire, often celebrated as the queen of country music, was born on March 28, 1955, in a small town in Oklahoma called McAllister. From the very beginning, her life was shaped by both the beauty and challenges of growing up on a ranch. Her family lived on a sprawling property that covered about 7,000 acres, giving an impression of space and abundance. But the reality was very different. Life on the ranch was demanding. Each day began early, often before sunrise, and ended late in the evening, with little rest in between. Reba and her siblings were expected to contribute to the daily chores, from feeding animals to helping with fields. Money was limited and luxuries were rare, which meant that every effort she put in had to count. Her father, Clark McEntire, was a 3-time world champion steer roper, known for his skill in competitions and admired in his professional circles. Yet at home, he was a serious, quiet man who rarely expressed affection. Reba spent much of her early life trying to earn his approval, hoping that her hard work and dedication would make him proud. Meanwhile, her mother, Jacqueline McEntire, understood Reba in a completely different way. Jacqueline had once dreamed of becoming a singer herself, but had set aside her dreams to raise a family. She encouraged Reba to follow the musical path she herself could not take. From a very young age, Reba was learning lessons about resilience, responsibility, and determination. She began singing and performing in local events and small contests, including entering a 4-H talent competition at the age of 13, which she won. Even these small victories played a crucial role in building her confidence, showing her that her voice had the power to move people. These experiences also taught her that success was not immediate, and that life required patience and persistence. Music became not just a hobby but a lifeline, a way to escape the long, exhausting days on a ranch, and a beacon of hope for a future beyond her small town. With her mother's guidance and support of her family, Reba developed a deep love for singing, while also learning the hard truths of responsibility, hardship, and the necessity of hard work. These formative years, though filled with challenges, created a foundation for the remarkable career and life she would later build. They instilled in her the determination to overcome difficulties, to remain committed to her dreams, and to never give up even when the path ahead seemed uncertain. Every early chore, every moment of doubt, and every small stage she performed on added to her resilience, preparing her for the highs and lows of fame that would come later in life. The lessons she learned during these years about dedication, endurance, and self-belief would not only shape her music, but also her response to the personal tragedies and challenges she would face decades later. After growing up with the lessons of hard work and determination on the Oklahoma ranch, Reba McEntire was ready to take her first steps toward a career in music. By her teenage years, she had already performed in local talent shows and small community events, often alongside her siblings. Singing became more than a hobby. It became her purpose. The encouragement from her mother, Jacqueline, remained a steady source of inspiration, as she reminded Reba that the voice she possessed could take her far beyond the ranch and the small towns of Oklahoma. In 1974, a pivotal moment arrived when Reba was invited to perform the national anthem at the National Finals Rodeo in Oklahoma City. This event was one of the largest stages she had ever performed on, and it placed her in front of an audience that included country music professionals. One person in particular, the country singer Red Steagall, noticed her talent and saw potential in the young performer. He offered to help Reba begin a career in Nashville, the city widely regarded as the heart of country music. The opportunity was both exciting and terrifying. At just 19 years old, Reba and her mother made the decision to leave behind the familiarity of home and move to Nashville, embarking on a journey that would test every ounce of her perseverance and resilience. Arriving in a new city without connections, without financial security, and without certainty about the future, Reba had to confront the reality that talent alone was not enough to guarantee success. Shortly after moving, she signed with Mercury Records, which many would see as a dream come true. However, the reality of working in the music industry proved to be far more challenging than she had imagined. Mercury Records made decisions about the songs she recorded, many of which did not suit her unique voice or style. Releases struggled on the charts, and the long hours spent in recording studios and traveling to small performances seemed to yield little progress. For 7 long years, From 1975 to 1982, Reba faced repeated disappointment. She lived in modest apartments, worried about bills, and often questioned whether she had made the right choice leaving home. Each success she observed in other artists made her own lack of recognition feel heavier. During this time, she experienced doubt and considered giving up entirely, even thinking about returning to Oklahoma to live a quieter life away from the struggles of the music industry. Yet despite the frustration and setbacks, Reba persisted. Every day she reminded herself of the encouragement her mother had given her, the sacrifices that had been made for her, and the dreams she had carried since childhood. She continued performing on small stages, recording songs she believed in, and trying again whenever failure struck. The lessons from her upbringing, the value of patience, the importance of resilience, and the necessity of consistent effort kept her moving forward. By the time Reba was 27 years old, she was at a critical crossroads. She knew that if she walked away from music, the years of dedication and perseverance would be lost forever. Yet hope felt fragile, and the reality of years of struggle weighed heavily on her spirit. It was a time when determination mattered more than ever, and Reba made the conscious decision to keep going, to fight for her dreams even when the world seemed unresponsive to her talent. That decision would eventually open the door to the breakthrough she had worked toward for nearly a decade. The experiences she endured during this early Nashville period not only prepared her for fame, but also shaped her understanding of the sacrifices and persistence required to succeed. The foundation of strength she built during these years would later help her face both personal and professional tragedies with courage and dignity, proving that success is rarely immediate, but the rewards of perseverance can be extraordinary. After years of struggle and near-constant setbacks in Nashville, Reba McEntire's perseverance finally began to pay off in the early 1980s. Despite facing repeated disappointments with Mercury Records, she never allowed herself to abandon the dreams she had carried since childhood. In 1983, she released the single Can't Even Get the Blues, which became her first #1 hit on the Billboard Country Chart. This moment was transformative. For the first time in her career, Reba saw tangible evidence that her hard work and resilience were not in vain. The triumph validated every long night in the recording studio, every modest performance, and every moment of doubt she had faced. The success of this single also gave her the confidence to take greater control of her career. In 1984, she made a bold decision to leave Mercury Records and sign with MCA Records, a move that would allow her to record songs that better matched her voice and artistic identity. This was a turning point, as she returned to the traditional country music that had shaped her early understanding of song and story. The difference was immediate. Songs like How Blue, Somebody Should Leave, and Little Rock showcased the honesty, emotional depth, and technical skill that had always been part of her talent. Audiences responded with enthusiasm. Reba was no longer just another artist trying to fit the mold of the industry. She had become a leading voice in country music. Between 1984 and 1987, her talent and hard work were formally recognized when she won the Country Music Association's Female Vocalist of the Year award for 4 consecutive years. This period of achievement confirmed her place among the best in the industry and highlighted her ability to connect deeply with listeners. Fans were drawn to the truth in her songs, stories that reflected real struggles, heartbreak, and resilience. Her 1986 album, Whoever's in New England, exemplified this connection. The title track told the story of a woman confronting betrayal and personal disappointment with honesty rather than anger, resonating with listeners who saw their own experiences reflected in her lyrics. This emotional authenticity became one of Reba's defining qualities, distinguishing her from other performers and solidifying her place in the hearts of fans across the country. Beyond awards and chart success, Reba also began to shape the way the public viewed country artists. She combined strong stage presence with a relatable, genuine persona, demonstrating that a performer could be both glamorous and grounded, successful yet deeply human. Her approach redefined expectations for women in country music, showing that strength and vulnerability could coexist in a single performer. This period was not without its challenges. The pressure to succeed, maintain public image, and constantly deliver hit songs demanded energy, focus, and resilience. Yet Reba's early life lessons, working hard on the ranch, handling responsibility, and never giving up despite setbacks, proved invaluable. They had prepared her for the complexities of fame, allowing her to navigate obstacles while remaining authentic. By the late 1980s, Reba McEntire had not only achieved the professional recognition she had long sought, but had also cultivated a career built on talent, integrity, and connection with her audience. She had transformed from a young woman uncertain of her path in Nashville into a powerful voice in country music whose story inspired fans everywhere. Her rise to fame was a testament to the idea that perseverance, patience, and belief in oneself can eventually overcome years of struggle and doubt. Yet, even as the accolades and achievements multiplied, life was preparing to test her in ways that would extend far beyond the music charts, reminding her that success, while meaningful, could not shield her from the personal tragedies that would soon shape her journey in profound ways. By the early 1990s, Reba McEntire had firmly established herself as a leading figure in country music, celebrated for her powerful voice, emotional honesty, and the connection she maintained with her audience. Yet even at the height of her career, life reminded her that success could not shield anyone from tragedy. On March 16, 1991, a devastating event occurred that would change Reba's life forever. After a performance in San Diego, 2 small planes were scheduled to transport members of her band and tour staff to the next location. Reba, who was suffering from bronchitis at the time, chose to stay behind at the hotel with her husband, Narvel Blackstock, planning to travel later. In a cruel twist of fate, one of the planes crashed only minutes after takeoff. 7 members of her band, along with her tour manager, died instantly. The news reached Reba in the quiet hours before dawn, a moment she later described as surreal and incomprehensible. She was faced with the sudden, irreversible loss of people she had worked closely with for years, friends, collaborators, and part of the family she had built around her music. The feelings of guilt, shock, and helplessness were overwhelming. Questions plagued her mind. Why had she stayed behind while they perished? Why was she left to continue when those she loved were gone? Despite these unbearable emotions, Reba understood that she needed to honor the memories of those she had lost. In the months following the tragedy, she poured her grief into her work. That same year, she released the album For My Broken Heart, a collection of songs that reflected the pain, sadness, and resilience she felt. Each song became a way to process emotions that were too deep for ordinary conversation. Fans responded to the album in ways that confirmed Reba's intuition about music. It has the power to connect people in their most vulnerable moments. Listeners who had experienced their own losses found comfort and understanding in her songs, creating a shared space of healing and empathy. While the album reached #1 on the charts, proving her artistic strength, it could never replace the people she had lost. The emotional weight of the tragedy remained, a reminder that life can be sudden and cruel, and that even fame cannot protect one from heartbreak. This period also reinforced a recurring theme in Reba's life, that strength is not the absence of pain, but the courage to continue moving forward despite it. She returned to performing, carrying both the memory of her lost friends and a renewed commitment to honor their legacy. Every concert, every studio session, and every audience interaction became an opportunity to transform grief into art. Through this process, Reba not only healed in her own way, but also taught her fans that vulnerability and strength can coexist. She demonstrated that expressing sorrow, rather than hiding it, can lead to deeper connections and understanding. The 1991 plane crash, while unimaginably tragic, became a defining moment in Reba McEntire's personal and professional life. It marked a point where her music became inseparable from her life experiences, where every note carried both joy and heartbreak, and where her audience came to see her not only as a performer, but as a survivor. The lessons she learned during this period, resilience, empathy, and the transformative power of music, would guide her through the future losses and challenges that life would continue to present. Even at the peak of her career, Reba faced the reality that loss could strike at any time, and yet she chose to face it with dignity, creativity, and a determination to continue building her legacy. It was a moment that solidified her reputation not just as a talented artist, but as a human being capable of confronting unimaginable grief with courage and grace, setting the stage for the personal challenges that would follow in later decades. While Reba McEntire's career soared, her personal life unfolded with its own mix of joys, challenges, and heartbreaks. In 1976, Reba married Charlie Battles, a steer wrestler who shared her Oklahoma roots and work ethic. On the surface, their marriage seemed like a natural pairing, grounded in shared values and mutual understanding of hard work. However, their ambitions and life goals gradually diverged. Reba was determined to build a lasting music career, spending long hours in recording studios, touring, and performing. Charlie, on the other hand, preferred a quieter life focused on ranching and a simpler, more private lifestyle. The differences in their priorities created a subtle but growing distance between them. After 11 years of marriage, Reba and Charlie decided to part ways in 1987. The end of this relationship left her without children and carried a quiet, lingering sadness. It was a formative experience, teaching her that even love rooted in mutual respect could struggle against conflicting life paths. Just a year later, in 1988, Reba began a new chapter in her personal life with Narvel Blackstock, her steel guitarist who later became her manager. Their connection quickly grew into a partnership that encompassed both love and business. By 1989, they were married, blending their personal and professional lives in a way that many admired. Together, they managed Stark Entertainment, a company that organized Reba's tours, albums, and other career milestones. This partnership allowed Reba to maintain stability in her career while building a family, creating an environment where work and personal life could coexist. Reba also embraced Narvel's 3 children from his previous marriage, Chasey, Shauna, and Brandon, as her own. She nurtured and guided them, investing herself fully in their upbringing and treating them not as stepchildren, but as family. This experience deepened her understanding of love, responsibility, and the importance of presence in a child's life. In 1990, Reba gave birth to her only biological child, Shelby Stephen McEntire Blackstock. Becoming a mother brought both immense joy and a new set of challenges. Shelby was later diagnosed with ADHD, which required Reba to provide extra attention, patience, and support as he navigated schoolwork and social interactions. She worked tirelessly to ensure he felt encouraged, capable, and loved without making him feel different from other children. At the same time, Reba continued to perform, tour, and manage her career, balancing the demands of motherhood with the relentless pace of a high-profile music career. These years tested her resilience, teaching her that love and dedication require both sacrifice and careful management priorities. Even as Reba's professional success grew, she never allowed it to overshadow her role as a mother and a stepmother. Every award she received, every chart-topping single, and every sold-out show was balanced by the constant awareness of her responsibilities at home. Yet life continued to present challenges in unexpected ways. In 2015, after decades together, Narvel Blackstock requested a divorce. The separation was a profound emotional blow, leaving Reba heartbroken and forcing her to navigate both the personal and financial consequences of ending a long-term partnership. Despite the pain, she remained committed to her children and her work, demonstrating the same resilience that had carried her through childhood hardships, early career struggles, and the devastating 1991 plane crash. This period of her life highlighted a recurring theme. Success in one area does not prevent loss or difficulty in another. Love, stability, and family can be as fragile as they are precious. Reba's ability to persevere through these trials illustrated not only her strength, but also her capacity to adapt, rebuild, and continue nurturing both her family and her career. Through these experiences, Reba McEntire demonstrated a profound truth that motherhood, marriage, and family life, while deeply rewarding, require resilience, patience, and unwavering dedication, qualities she had cultivated throughout her life and career. Even in the face of heartbreak, she continued to invest in her family, showing that personal strength is often measured by the ability to care for others while navigating one's own challenges. BY 2020, Reba McEntire had already endured many hardships, losing her band members in the 1991 plane crash, navigating the end of her marriages, and balancing the responsibilities of family and career. Yet nothing could have fully prepared her for the loss she experienced that year, the passing of her beloved mother, Jacqueline McEntire. Jacqueline, who had encouraged Reba to pursue music from the very beginning, passed away on March 14, 2020, at the age of 93. To Reba, this was more than the death of a parent. It was the loss of a person who had shaped her dreams, believed in her talent, and provided unwavering support for her entire life. Jacqueline had sacrificed her own aspirations to nurture her children, teaching Reba the fundamentals of singing, listening to her practice tirelessly, and instilling the belief that her daughter could achieve greatness. Losing her mother meant losing the foundation of guidance and emotional support that had always been present, even after decades of professional success. The timing of her mother's death added another layer of difficulty. The world was in the grip of the COVID-19 pandemic, and public health restrictions made traditional gatherings,